Video, we are going to discuss about the guidelines issued by National Human Rights Commission regarding custodial deaths and National Human Rights Guidelines on forensic aspects has been discussed in detail. And before going to this entire explanation of the video, if you have watched the last video relating to torture, and if you are yet to watch, kindly watch those videos, and then you can switch on. You can continue watching this video. And the first and foremost point: the person who has been held in custody by the police officer or by prison authorities, the accused or the accused in charge has his basic constitutional rights, except a right to liberty and a qualified right to privacy. What is custodial death? Death of a person in prison or in police custody. Point 2, death of a person that has been caused or contributed by the traumatic injuries sustained or due to lack of proper care while the person in custody or in phase of detention. Thirdly, the death of a person, it has occurred through the process or there have been an attempt to detain a person either by a police officer or by the prison officer, and those also termed as a custodial death. And point 4, death of a person in process of escaping or attempting to escape from a prison or from the police custody. All these four, when a death occurs under all these four circumstances, then those deaths have been termed as custodial death. And a death could occur as a result of a traumatic injury. Any method of torture that has been used where there has been infliction of pain with any of the objects, and here in case you can able to see a flexible, hard and flexible object that has been used to inflict pain on the individual, and the most commonly the methods and objectives of torture, etc., all pertaining to the methods that has been employed on a detainee or an accused. And it could be of even in extreme cases it could be even of a sexual torture and by the police who has been under the captivity of the police, or any other methods of dry or a wet submiro or otherwise pouring any sort of written material to extort confessions from an accused. And other methods, it could be any of the physical methods of torture, physical abuse, or any sort of psychological abuses that can be employed to extort a confession from the person. And here in this image you see the phalanga beating on the part of a soul, and where on the image on your right side you see wet submino where individual been forcefully either submerged in a contaminated water or in a water that can even causes asphyxia, or even a water with an irritant or even a fecal material containing water can be used for with submino. And other methods like where individual being suspended by the arm, by the forearm, or otherwise by the foot, and it can be suspended for a long time, and to the major objective is to extort a confession and to induce a social fear among the community. And it could be any of the forms, either the individual sits on the top of an individual or back on the back to make him respiratory, to cause a respiratory discomfort, or to induce features of asphyxia, and followed by individual may open up his mouth in later part of time to answer or address any sort of a question that has been taken upon. first and foremost guideline is regarding the transportation. And here, from the scene of crime to the autopsy room, the deceased individual to be wrapped in a white paper bags, and a body should be covered in a specialized form of body bags which has zip pouches for a proper secure transportation. And here, in case if an individual being transported with a with a specialized body bag, which will prevent any sort of postmortem injuries, especially on parts of extremities and other. And other second advantage regarding packing in a deceased dead body in body bags is we can avoid any sort of artifacts in means of implanting any of the evidences either in form of, and we can even prevent loss of trace evidences from the deceased dead body. Guidelines that has been suggested by NHRC is the cloth should not be removed by the policeman or any other person. And here the word any other person means a technical assistant in working in a PM room, or a non-medico, either in form of a PM room attendant or any other person or any other third party, even it includes the relatives, etc. and other. They should not remove or they should not even touch, and it must be examined and preserved and sealed only by the doctor who is about to conduct the autopsy. And if in case either as a result of an injury or there been a oozing of blood from the injured site, or otherwise due to an excreta, or otherwise due to a discharge from any of the orifices, the cloth would have been stained and it will be in state of wet. And in cases where a wet cloth or a stained cloth should not be packed immediately, and here in case if it has been packed, and there could be chances of multiplication of an organism, or otherwise an invasion of an organism which can destroy the physical evidences or otherwise trace evidences on the part of a cloth. And for further examination and for where a medical legally important point or an evidence would have been lost as a result of a negligent in part of a doctor. And a doctor should always remember it not only applicable to the cases of custodial death, and it also applicable to other cases where cloth should not be packed in state of wet, and it should be either dried enough, then it can be packed and sealed for further examination. Regarding video filming and photography of the postmortem examination, and what are the aims or otherwise what are the chief or the basic aim of video filming and photography is to prevent any sort of tampering and to aid or to provide a supplement for a postmortem report. The video recording of this examination is being done. And secondly, it can occur either to remove an undue influence or any sort of suppression that an RMP receives while collecting any sort of material relevant. And here the influence either it could occur through a ruling party or an opposition party, or otherwise even from the higher authorities governing or holding posts within the government. They can influence, and ultimately by recording or by complete video filming of the entire procedure, we can able to facilitate an independent review of examination at a later point of time. And here the report that has been recorded or that has been filmed, it should be sealed and properly handed over to an investigating officer, and his duty to preserve those documents. At the time of video filming of the postmortem examination, where the RMP or an autopsy surgeon who conducts the autopsy should also record his voice, and he should narrate his prima facie observations, and it also includes both negative as well as positive findings, and it should be documented. And here in case if there been any corrections that should have been taken, or if the proper angling of a photo video filming is not proper, then the RMP should insist the videographer to re-record. And if there been in absence of voice or voice not been recorded properly, then RMP has a role, or an RMP can intervene and can modify and ask him to reshoot the entire sequence again. Guidelines regarding photograph: at least 20 to 25 colored photographs of the whole body should be taken, and some photographs should be taken without removing the clothes of the deceased. And while taking a photograph, where these findings, especially the postmortem number, the date of examination, should be incorporated along with the photograph, and the scale dimension within the frames of the photo should be described. And here the individual who takes a photo as well as the video filming should be a trained photographer in related to forensic aspect, and when and where he taken a photo or on a video filming, and he should be insisted to hold the camera, and it should be held at the right angle to the object that has been photographed. And regarding specifications to the cameras and the video filming devices that has been used, and here the camera should be of a good quality, at least with a 10x optical zoom, and at least minimum of 10 megapixel should be the feature of a photographic device. And regarding the guideline regarding the photographs, and the profile photo should include of the face, the front, right lateral, left lateral views of the deceased, and the back of the head should be the part of the photograph. And regarding the other aspects of the body, front and back aspect of a body, and upper and lower extremity, front and back, and focusing on if there been any injury in any part of the body, those injuries to be focused, and the exact zoom. And right, even in previous slide we have seen, right, 10x of optimal zoom should be the minimum feature. The exact zoom that has been used should be mentioned in a part of a photograph. And if there been any injury, and in case of a video filming, where the description relating to the injury should be narrated by the RMP or by the autopsy surgeon who is conducting the autopsy. And in internal examination, any specific significant findings to be filmed, and it should be documented. And at least 2 photos of sole and palms to be taken. And here exact numbering of injuries, right? For example, if there have been multiple injuries on different part of our body, each injury to be numbered, then it can be documented, or it can be captured with the help of photographic devices. And in cases of alleged firearm deaths or an encounter death that has been done, and in those cases a body should be subjected for a complete radiological survey prior to commencement of an autopsy. And here the modality of radiological examination should be of X-ray or otherwise a CT scan. And here in case MRI is being contraindicated due to presence of a metallic body or a metallic object within the body space, where MRI is being contraindicated. And regarding point number 2, while describing the injury, right, the entry and exit type of wound of firearm, where distance from the heel as well as from the midline should be taken in respect to each injury, and in later point of time it can be useful to reconstruct the events that has been narrated by the parties. And almost similar, right, and there is nothing extra in case of an alleged firearm death. And a routine firearm death, we do all sort of these things, and the additional part will be the photographs and the complete videographs of the autopsy, and rest other cases nothing extra relating to a firearm death. And in case of Before going to the explanation of this slide, right, where an RMP should know some of the basics, methods of torture, and how it has been inflicted, and where exactly we need to look for those findings, and what shall be the findings, and how to interrupt those findings. An RMP should have adequate knowledge. And regarding Felanga, that otherwise beating of the soles of the feet, and here where an RMP should make a deep incision on part of soles and to detect any deep-seated contusions within the muscle planes. And if there been any deep contusion, again it should be photographed, video filmed, and it also includes a part of making an incision in part of the soles, part of the palm, sorry. And if there been any injury, again those again to be documented. And here, due to repeated infliction of injury, the line of injury may be hyperpigmented, and in extreme cases where it has been a prolonged period of infliction may cause an aseptic necrosis on part of the soft tissue over those injured site. And while recording, you should remember the camera has been held at right angle to the body, and it should be documented. Near suffocation or dry submarino, and here we're tying in a plastic bag over part of a nasal orifices, and it can mimic like, right, it can mimic like, or it can be presented with signs of petechial hemorrhages on part of the respiratory pathway, and even interthoracic petechial patches may be seen, and signs of asphyxia will be associated. And here, in case if there been use of any sort of irritant substance along with it, where part of nasal orifices may show remnants of the substance that has been inhaled. And coming to wet submarino, and here again, if it could be of any fecal matter or otherwise in a water that has been contaminated, may be used and to cause near suffocation of the victim. And here, in case again, the derbices or any sort of material could be collected, and other methods like these are water torture, water cure, or a mechanism of dunking, and features of asphyxia and petechial hemorrhages may be seen on surfaces of lung and other solid viscera and mucosas part of the body. Of torture, where an individual being suspended with the help of an ligature material that has been tied around the wrist or otherwise on the ankle joint may produce localized contusion, abrasions, and even scars can occur as a result of repeated trauma that has been caused by the frequent rubbing of ligature material on those parts. And here, in case if there been usage of flexible hardened blunt object, and it can produce pattern contusions, abrasions on the part of injured site. And where even a tying of ligature material according to the tightness and according to the texture of the ligature material, where it can even causes imprint abrasions on the point of contact or point of impact, and associated joint injuries may also be seen. And here, in case if it been a case of a parrot breach, where bruises or scars are seen on anterior forearms, back of the knee, and marks of violence can be also seen on part of wrist and ankle joint. And herein again, meticulous autopsy will be the only tool to confirm or to dispel any sort of allegations of a custodial death. And here, most commonly adopted method is of incision, as most of the standard textbooks state. Modified Y-shape incision should be made to localize injuries. And here, extensive note making and including the description of the all injuries of a disease should be identified, and it should be described with the help of a measuring tape, and it should be documented within the nearest anatomical landmark sites. And one such thing that differs from a routine autopsy, where in case of a custodial death, where we suspect the individual has been tortured or that there has been assumption, where we need to make an incision even on the posterior aspect of the body. And here in case even it can adopted in this way, or otherwise even an incision which includes the entire section can be taken into one stroke, and other section of a body can be taken in other stroke. And here the back aspect of the extremities all should to be taken care to make an incision. And if there have been a present of a deep seated contusion, and it can be readily demonstrated, and by dividing the muscle planes, a localized effusions on those parts can be noted easily. And a classical examination where it includes features of contusions can be seen on the posterior aspect of a deceased dead body, and here you can able to see patterned contusions, and classical examples of railroad type of contusions can be seen. And here the features of postmortem lividity, ignore those, and even you can able to see a contusion on the left back aspect of the upper arm, and as well as on the contusion on the left palm of left hand also. And the same here, same individual, right? Even a localized contusion on part of a gluteal region as well as on the part of the hand demonstrate contusion. A guideline that has been provided by NHRC, we are making an incision on the posterior aspect of the deceased, and here again these are normal sites where there is no any injury on the external part, but on here we can able to see a diffuse extravasation of blood within the tissue planes. And here again no injury, nothing, so it is only divided off only on gluteal region. And even in part of soles we have made an incision where in a hyperpigmented patches are seen, and where by making an incision we can able to see the deep seated contusions and extravasation of blood within the deep tissue planes. Exactly here, right? And these are normal areas, nothing is significant, and here it has an effusion of blood within the tissue planes. Regarding point on viscera preservation, right? And here first and foremost thing we need to remember is not always where a deceased individual who has been received from a custodial is always been subjected for methods of torture or methods of physical trauma. There could be circumstances or there could be exceptions where we receive an individual with no traumas or no infliction of traumatic injuries on part of a deceased individual, where an individual could have been suffering from any sort of pre-existing disease state, either it could be of tuberculosis or any other chronic illnesses, or he may also suffer from a state of hypertensive, or otherwise he may be on a regular medications for any other disease conditions, right? And regarding when you ask for any disease condition, a past medical history, past history of medications also to be a part of inquiry. And if in case if those have been presented, and we need to look for the organs while in internal examination, if there have been any abnormality, and those organs to be resected and those part of viscera to be preserved for histopathological examination. And here the main role of autopsy is we are looking for methods of torture, and we are looking for physical instances of torture, and where the methods of psychological tortures, nothing can be estimated in a routine autopsy, where the mental pain and mental agony that has been suffered during a living state can't be assessed during autopsy. And in cases of methods of sexual tortures, where we need to collect viscera like vaginal swab smear, and need to make a localized genital examination properly, and if there have been any sort of abnormality or any sort of significant finding, that again to be documented in part of the autopsy. And relating to any viscera, and we need to collect samples for toxicological as well as visceras for histopathological examination, and regarding blood grouping and CBC estimation and other miscellaneous conditions. And if it purely varies right from one case to another, and due to the runtime issue, and it is crossing more than 25 minutes by the time 25 minutes by this moment, and I just cut short the points towards here, and where viscera preservation can be discussed in a separate video. Points towards reporting. First and foremost, every cases of custodial rape, death and rape to be informed to a magistrate, and where a magistrate conducts an inquiry, and the reports to be sent within 24 hours of occurrence. And in order to help in a proper assessment, where time since death, determination of rectal temperature, development and state of rigor mortis at the time of first examination at the scene is essential by a medical officer. Those again to be documented. And all reports, the post-mortem certificate, the videograph evidences, photographic evidences, the magistrate inquiry reports should be sent to the National Human Rights Commission within 2 months of incident. And this is the model post-mortem report form that has been available in National Human Rights Commission website, and it is almost similar to our routine autopsy, where some columns there have been an addition. And here in case, and you can able to note a point on the bottom of this image where a post-mortem report should be typed, or otherwise it should be in a computer generated printout, and it should not be handwritten, right? And this is the only exception, and in rest of the other cases we submit only a handwritten autopsy report for further pursuit. And the following slides are the post-mortem report form, and identified by and the exact person's alleged history of schedules of observations, post-mortem changes that have been seen, and we need to document those in part of our autopsy report. And in column external appearances, conditions of eye, natural orifices, the state of nails and any external injuries to be described in detail, and all relating injuries to be related to the important body marks, and it should be mentioned properly. And most important point here, whether it is an old or otherwise the age of injury is more vital. And in case of internal examinations, wear head, neck, chest and associated underlying state of organs and any sort of abnormal presentations, etc., to be documented. And here every organ to be weighed before doing a cut section. Each organs to be weighed, and that again to be documented. And in abdominal, most commonly contents of stomach along with the contents to be mentioned, exact mucosal state to be described, and other soft organs, other body visceral organs to be examined, and weight documentation and the exact findings to be documented. And final opinion making, and what are the specimens to be collected and to be subjected for further examinations according to the need of the case. We need to make a tick mark over the parts whichever sample has been collected, or the organ or the tissue which has been subjected for further examination, to be mentioned with the quantity and along with the preservatives and the method of collection, and see to that each sample is being collected properly and properly sealed and labeled before handling to other personnel, the police officer, for further FSL estimations and other histopathological assessment. And here the part right almost similar for most of the PMs, where the receiving IO need to make his signature, his designations and his name, signature, police station, date of collection to be documented, and other who has been receiving all these to be mentioned properly. And in part of medical officer, name of the medical officer in capital letters, designation of him, and followed by the seal and followed by the signature along with the date to be mentioned. Of the presentation, first and foremost point, magistrate inquest is needed. Point 2, any undoing delay due to any reason should be avoided. Once the documents that are required for autopsy is ready, then the autopsy should commence. Point 3, RMP should know about methods of tortures. Point 4, complete autopsy is mandatory. Point 5, video filming and photography during postmortem examination is compulsory. Point 6, doctor should narrate his observations that are made during postmortem examination. Thank you so much for your patient listening. If there have been any doubt, queries relating to the content of the video, kindly address those issues in the comment section below, or otherwise address through any of the social media links that have been provided in description section. Thank you so much.